I'm Mark.
And I'm Josh.
And this is Alter Ego Comics TV for the week of February 1st, 2012. The beginning of a new month. Great comics on board. We're also going to address some of the questions that you posted in the YouTube comments. We got a lot of questions this week, which is great. So we'll try to cover as many as we can in the time that we have together today. All right, let's start things off with Action Comics number 6. And I hate to say this, I don't want to talk about the first part of the book. I want to talk about the backup story. The first part of the book, which I said I wasn't going to talk about, has some great artwork by Andy Kubert. It's a continuation of the previous story from issue number 5, but the backup is worth the price of admission. Similar to last month, where we had the backup story about Jonathan and Martha Kent and their struggle to have a child, and then having this alien fall into their lap and being able to be a complete family. Hope nobody takes offense at that. This one is about, it's again about Clark probably leaving to go to Metropolis and saying goodbye to the family farm. And I don't want to give too much away, but it's emotional. I mean, it was drawn well, written well, and I'm really enjoying the backup stories in Action Comics. Again, the backup alone is worth the price of this comic book this week.
Got Transformers Infestation number 1. This is the first direct tie into the Infestation 2 crossover, and it's set in the Age of Steam. We're back sometime in the 1800s, and you've got Autobots all across the land in their dormant mode, and something falls from the sky. This Cthulhu power or wave, or however you want to look at it. The old ones start to rise and are possessing, in this case, I only saw one, but I believe it was the Decepticon, and so the Autobots are kind of awakening, and it's very interesting to see, their alternate modes in this other time period. A lot of this comes out of an older Autobot story that had to do with the Autobots making the Transcontinental Railroad, which I haven't read, and you don't have to read to follow this, but it's very cool if you just like, American history stories and kind of Elseworldsy stuff where you see characters in a different environment. It's a great read.
And this is written by Chuck Dixon, who I believe wrote the story that you alluded to.
He did.
Next up for me is Venom, issue number 13. This is the first part of the Circle of 4 storyline, featuring Red Hulk, X-23, Venom, and Ghost Rider. So it's very reminiscent of the, I believe it was Walt Simonson writing, Art Adams doing the art on the Fantastic Four, New Fantastic Four, which was Wolverine, Hulk, Spider-Man, and Ghost Rider from the late 80s, early 90s. And this looks like it's going to be a winner. It's written by Rick Remender, regular writer of the series, art by Tony Moore, semi-regular artist on Venom. And this is going to be a little confusing to follow as far as the numbering. It starts with issue number 13 in Venom, and then we have Venom 13.1, 13.2, 13.3, 13.4, and it maybe ends in 14. So they're going to be 4-point issues between 13 and 14 of Venom. Thank you, Marvel, for that golden nugget of numbering. Thank you very much.
But they are weekly.
Is it weekly?
Yeah, it's every week for the next 4 weeks. At least that's the plan.
Still, I hate your numbering, Marvel. Hate it. But the story is great. It's a lot of fun to see these characters drawn together to face a common enemy. And since 2 of the characters have had their books canceled, this is a great place to find those characters. That would be X-23 and Ghost Rider. So great stuff for Venom Circle of 4 Part 1.
All right, we have Star Wars Dawn of the Jedi Zero. There's a new series coming out called Star Wars Dawn of the Jedi, and this is set 36,000 years. That's 36,000 years before A New Hope.
That's a very long time ago.
A very long time ago, even longer ago. And actually, the first issue we get here is all guidebook. It's setting up the tone of this universe, and I was very skeptical about that because usually I like a guidebook after I'm already familiar with the series. But I actually really enjoyed this. They're doing a good job of setting it up, and a lot of it references and kind of ties into things in the Old Republic, the new video game that everybody's been playing since Christmas. And very cool. So if you like guidebooks, you like Star Wars, this is a great pickup. The series is going to be written by John Ostrander with art by Jan Durasima. Two U's. That's not how work.
Not even going to try.
Yeah. But they've both got a great lineage in Star Wars comics, so I have high hopes. Star Wars fan, check it out.
Winter Soldier number 1, written by Ed Brubaker, art by Butch Geis. Basically, if you liked Brubaker's reintroduction of Bucky in Captain America a few years ago, you're going to want to read this series. It's the same creative team. If you've been following Bucky's adventures in the Marvel Universe, he died in Fear itself, but actually wasn't dead. It was a life model decoy. Sorry to spoil that for anyone. I should have put a spoiler alert in there.
Well, he was actually defeated.
He was injured on the field of
right,
battle.
and they swapped out the body for a life model decoy.
Right. So he's off the grid. Everyone thinks he's dead. The only people that know are Nick Fury and Steve Rogers and Black Widow, and maybe some other S.H.I.E.L.D. people that don't have names. But this is basically, they're alluding to the fact that there was a Winter Soldier program, or it was Project X, I think is what it was called. Maybe, I don't know. It was Russia's version of the Super Soldier program, and so Bucky, as the Winter Soldier, helped train these guys that are sleeper agents, and the list of these sleeper agents and the code words to awaken them have been sold on the black market to a variety of bad people, and so Bucky and the Black Widow are off trying to prevent bad things from happening. Really enjoyed it. Again, if you enjoyed Brubaker's initial run on Captain America, you're absolutely going to want to pick this one up.
All right. I continue to think XClub is awesome. I've already told you every reason it's awesome, so now I will just give you a short preview of this issue.
I will read a short passage.
Dr. Nemesis riding a dead, electrically controlled hammerhead shark, yelling, "Science ho!" End of review.
Science ho. Is that a new character?
Yes.
All right. Let's move into trade collected edition land. And these are no-brainers, folks. No-brainers. Batman, Gates of Gotham, collected edition. You've got Scott Snyder, Kyle Higgins, I can't talk this morning, Trevor McCarthy, and Ryan Parrott. You'll recall, maybe, that Josh and I loved this series when it was coming out in single issues. If you did not get a chance to read it, I highly recommend it. If you're one of the many, many people reading Scott Snyder's Batman series right now, pick this up, go back, check it out. And Kyle Higgins, who's doing Nightwing and Deathstroke right now, those guys are a win-win combination writing team. Basically, there's a lot of stuff that happens in Gates of Gotham that is being carried over into Snyder's Batman run. So if you're reading that, you want to pick this one up.
Yeah, and if you're one of those people that's like, oh, I don't like Batman, who's Dick Grayson, so I'm not going to read the Black Mirror. This has Bruce Wayne as Batman. It has the whole Bat family. It's kind of a goodbye to the old universe, featuring all of your favorite Bat characters, so it's definitely worth a look.
Scott Snyder, how we love you. American Vampire Volume 3 in hardcover is out this week, and this single volume is quite possibly the best of the three. While they're all very, very good, this is the World War II storyline that occurred in the main American Vampire series, as well as the parallel American Vampire Survival of the Fittest World War II storyline that was happening in Europe. So you've got the Pacific, you've got Europe, you've got crazy Nazi vampires, you've got Asian vampires, you've got this island of crazy Asian vampires, you've got the vampire hunting team. I can't remember what they're called. So basically, every character that we've seen from the previous two volumes that is still alive by this volume shows up in one of these two stories, and it's genius that they put these two together in one massive hardcover instead of having two smaller versions.
It's not just genius, it's economically awesome. I mean, this is nearly twice as many issues as the previous hardcovers, and it's the same price at $24.99, so it's a steal.
You don't want to point that out to people. Because
this is awesome.
Yes, I don't know how DC prices their hardcover collections, but maybe they just pick a price and throw as many issues as they can. But, oh God, this is so good. American Vampire is so good. I don't know what else to say about it. I will continue to beat you over the head with it until you decide to check out American Vampire. All right, well, we've got a few minutes left. Let's get to a question or two. We will go in order here. We got a lot of questions. Ooh, this is a tough one. Sean Connery wants to know if we had to pick one story arc from comics in the last 5 years or so, which one would be our personal favorites? You want to go first?
I'm cheating. I picked 52. The 52 storyline did a lot of great stuff. It basically took Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman out of the spotlight and shown it on second-tier characters. It had an awesome writing team, and it was on schedule for a year, and 52 in the last 5 years is easily my favorite book.
This is tough. And I count my favorite as something that I would go back and read over and over again. And I gotta go with actually this volume of American Vampire. I will read this many, many times because it's got great World War II action. It's got crazy Draculas, and it's just a lot of fun. And that maybe this is a tough question to answer because really, I mean, we both work in a comic book store 5 days a week and are surrounded by all this comic goodness. So having to pick one is just not fair. So I disqualify your question. All right, so let's go on to the next question from the Dane 18 wants to know who our favorite DC and Marvel superheroes are. He's asking. I'm assuming the Dane is a male, but let's do one of each. One DC, one Marvel. Go.
Which one do you want?
Okay. Well, you know, you do, but one of each.
Oh, one of each. Okay. All right. Well, DC, I'm going to pick Booster Gold. His storyline's been awesome since Infinite Crisis up through the previous series, 52, and everything else. He's just a character I really enjoy, and I think he's had a lot of character growth. And on the Marvel side, I'm going to pick Jamie Madrox. Peter David's X Factor has been awesome, and Madrox is a large part of that. It's a very interesting character who's continued to evolve and be interesting decades after he's created.
On the DC side, I'm going to pick Scott Snyder. Actually, he's not a character. But I'm going to pick Batman. That's kind of maybe an easy pick. A lot of people love Batman, but there have been so many great Batman stories over the years. So whether you want Dick Grayson as Batman, Bruce Wayne as Batman, whether you want future Batman, you know, crazy Elseworlds Batman stuff, there's just so much good Batman stuff to choose from. So that's Batman for me. Marvel, I'm going to go with Daredevil. Kind of a no-brainer for me. There have been so many outstanding runs on Daredevil, from Frank Miller to Brian Michael Bendis to Brubaker and now to Wade, and even Kevin Smith with his resurrection of Daredevil with Guardian Devil back in '98 or so. The character has had a lot of crap heaped on him and has somehow survived it, and now he's living large in the Mark Waid run and having a lot of fun. All right, maybe one more here. All right, we have a two-part question from Viking Brace. It's not really two-part; it's two different questions. So we're going to take your first question because the other one maybe we'll get to later. What are your favorite animated comic book movies? I will start and go with Batman: Mask of the Phantasm. And if you have not seen it, it was it was released in theaters by the same creative team that did Batman the Animated Series, and was just awesome. I still enjoy it to this day.
I got to go with Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker. The kind of feature-length or connection of episodes that kicked off the Batman Beyond franchise, again, by the same team as Batman the Animated Series. It was PG-13, and it was actually genuinely scary and creepy and not necessarily appropriate for younger people, and it was awesome. It was great.
And I'll give an honorable mention to, I think it's called Avengers Next.
Oh, yeah.
It was a Marvel animated movie. Takes place in the future and has the children of the Avengers as well as old man Tony Stark and an old Hulk, and they battle Ultron, and it had a lot of nods to the comics, whereas some of the Marvel movies, at least the earlier ones, just kind of go off and do their own thing. This one, if you're a comic book fan, there's just so much to love about it. So check out Avengers Next if you haven't. You may be kind of initially turned off because it's about kids, but and you don't like kids. I don't know who I'm talking to, but Avengers Next definitely gets an honorable mention in this one. So that's it for this week. Thank you so much for all the questions. Please leave us more because we're hoping to just do an all questions episode, or an all answers, an all talking episode. And this week, you'll notice we brought back, we got out of the church basement, as some of you mentioned, with the stark surroundings, and we've got our Love and Comics display behind us for Valentine's Day. Come in and check it out. All the comics behind us have love involved in them to some degree or another, and we love them all. And we also have some big plans in the works for the video in terms of production and things that you will see and hopefully love and rave about. So thank you again for watching, and we'll see you next week.